me.
Let's not have any Janet Jackson.
All right, here it is.
Oh.
Welcome to the Halloween special edition of the Pursuit of Bitcoin Jam. I'm joined by my friend. I think he came out of the canteen sequence from Star Wars.
Cypher Pedro, baby. This
Cypher
is just
Pedro.
Cypher Pedro.
That's just
the doggy
organically how it
dynamic.
is. And then I think this is like a Minecraft, but you actually stole Max's natural hair, right?
And people probably think Max is sitting over here,
Right.
And that's Steve.
I'm pretty sure that's Max right there.
But I'm actually Steve
You're
for
Steve.
Halloween.
Steve from Minecraft.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know the Minecraft lore that well, but it's
The
he's
name
like
of
the main character.
The name of the main character in Minecraft is Steve, so I'm
Awesome.
playing Steve.
That's
Hey.
But in the movie, Jack Black plays Steve,
Uh-huh.
so that's why.
That's why you got the hair.
My beard didn't just do it. So.
Right. But it blends nicely with your mustache and everything.
The only thing we need here is the ajoloto. Remember? Any of our diehard listeners know the ajolotos from Minecraft.
Is that that's one of the animals?
Yeah. It's the weird little Mexican.
You knew a
animal.
little animal that you told me about with the weird name.
Axolotl.
Yeah. I think that's what he's
It's the
saying.
same thing. Yeah. but
The American version.
But one super serious question: why is it that the scariest one of us all is DK? What is this horrific mask you got on? And I gotta know, where is the Biddy suit? I was promised the Biddy suit.
This is my costume.
Oh,
I got my Biddy costume right here.
You misread our message.
yeah. Come on, DK.
We have the full-blown Biddy costume here at City of Bitcoin. Which, if you've not seen the movie yet, you should see Who is Bitcoin movie. Look it up on YouTube. Spiral produced, and we thought you were gonna wear that.
Yeah, come on.
I thought you in the group chat you said you were going to dress me up as that, and I showed up and my wardrobe was not ready. So
Well, Alex, the episode is still live, so if we want to get a Biddy suit for DK, it sounds like he's ready.
All right.
I'm seeing a message. Mike's not on for PBJ.
Oh, is that right? What happened? People are upset. They want to hear the PBJ.
I know.
I didn't get any such message. Alex's stuff sound all right for you?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
Hey, if anybody's watching, if you could pop in the chat, can you hear us?
I bet they just can't hear Max because he's got his
Oh,
paper mache.
is that it?
Oh, all right. Now
Yeah,
he
okay.
says it's working. All right.
Okay.
Maybe a temporary glitch.
Okay.
Maybe it's the costumes. I don't know.
Yeah. I may do a little wardrobe change myself in a minute. So can y'all hear me? If anyone's listening to this chat, can you hear me in this mask or no? We'll wait for someone to say. Anyways.
Okay, somebody said better. So happy Halloween. That's why we're dressed like this, right?
Happy. Is it a special day?
It's a special day in Bitcoin land.
Oh, why is that?
Well, it was on October 31st, 2008 that the Bitcoin white paper was first presented to the public.
At 11:10 a.m. Pacific time. So
Yep.
1 hour ago.
Yep.
Ooh, almost
Well,
perfect
17
timing.
years and 1 hour ago.
Yeah.
And, I think it's actually interesting that it happened to such little fanfare. Do you know how many people responded to it in the first 24 hours?
How many?
2.
And who were they?
The one guy, I don't remember his name, but he was kind of like skeptical, but curious. He was like open to learning more, but he was kind of like skeptical. And then the other was Hal Finney.
Was the other one Curious DK?
Did not make an appearance on the Cypherpunks mailing list.
Is Hal Finney Satoshi? Was he just responding to himself?
But I think it's actually interesting that it was so low key, because nothing, like all of the subsequent things are not low key at all. All the subsequent things are big hype and, try to harvest out hype from, some sort of like Twitter audience or something. And Bitcoin, the OG, the king, the only one that really matters, basically had no attention, no fanfare. It launched to like 2 responses in the first 24 hours.
Yep.
Which is telling for almost anything new you're building. Like, you don't necessarily need to think about how much hype am I building, but how much substance am I building?
Yeah.
Totally.
That's a great point, right? Because up until that point, there had been several attempts at digital cash. They'd failed. They each had different centralization points, but it was a very niche community at the time, and there certainly was no investment or money attached to it, so it didn't draw in a much bigger crowd. And I think a lot of cypherpunks on that list were just they're skeptical by nature.
Mhm.
They were skeptical on this claim.
Right.
Completely reasonable to be skeptical, I think. But
Yeah,
here
it
we
should
are.
be.
Here we are 17 years later.
Yeah.
Is it 17 years?
I know.
Wow.
It's crazy. I think that's a great broader point too. I mean, just something I think about it and investing in general is like whenever the crowds are rushing into anything, I'm like, shit, I don't want to be in that. I mean, it's nice if you've already placed your bets very early, but to your point, it seems like everything that changes the world almost always starts as like, I don't know, people just they either don't see it at all, or if they do see it, they think it's a joke. So just I don't know.
But
It
once
seems like
something
trend.
is in the mainstream hype, it's almost like not the right time to be pursuing it. It's
Fuck
like
yeah,
you
that's
want to
when to do
find
something else.
you want to find the ideas from the edge, right? You want to find the things that are not yet. That was yes, exactly.
Pump It Max's show.
Pump it, baby, pump it.
By the way, should we point the audience? We
Yeah.
have the white paper framed in.
That's my costume.
Yeah. Maybe we should make that a permanent fixture. Or, I mean, we can keep it. We can keep it at the entrance of Presidio Bitcoin, but like when we record, maybe we bring this in every week.
Yeah.
Not just once a year.
All right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it. It's nice looking.
It's good to have our Bible.
Any other facts that you guys have dug up on the 2008 launch?
I actually learned one this morning. I don't know if this is true, but if it is, it would make a lot of sense. I saw this briefly on a Nostr post that apparently almost 500 years prior, I think it was 493 or 492, I forget exactly, but apparently Martin Luther put up his theses on October 31st. I have not verified that. I don't know if that's true. Maybe some people in the audience or Steve, maybe you know. But if it is, that's really interesting to me because, you know, in the same way that the sort of gist of this post was that, you know, Martin Luther found the corruption in the church and published, you know, his doctrine to say, no, you can just speak directly to God. It's all in you. In the same way, the white paper, that's our theses. And Satoshi is our sort of Martin Luther that says, no, there's a lot of corruption in this state and you don't need these centralized parties to act like vampires sucking your life force. So
I'm curious, you called me out to know some. Did you know that I grew up Lutheran, Max? Was that...
I did not know that actually. I had no idea,
but I actually did not know that.
Yeah. So if anyone can verify that for us. Oh, confirmed. We got it confirmed. October 31st, 1517.
Wow.
And this is one of those things where whoever Satoshi is, like, no coincidence. You know what I'm saying? There's no like, oh, it was just dropped on a random day. No, October 31st was for a reason. Also, maybe he liked Halloween.
I did not know this, but do you know that it was originally published? We all know that it was originally published on bitcoin.org, right? You know that?
I did not know that.
I don't.
Okay, that's
what do you mean by originally published?
The white paper was published on bitcoin.org. That's where it was available.
Before October? No.
Well,
I don't think bitcoin.org existed until months or years later.
It says this is, you know, maybe it's Grok is lying to me, but it says hosted on bitcoin.org originally. The white paper was uploaded to bitcoin.org, a domain registered anonymously on August 18th, 2008. So that was interesting.
Okay. I don't know the specifics, but that surprises me. I thought it came a little bit later.
I thought it was hosted on bitcoin.com. It was hosted by Roger Ver.
But it was the .org was registered anonymously via anonymousspeech.com in Japan, which is I guess a registrar that maybe doesn't take a lot of information in order to register and host. So another little piece I just learned today doing some research.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? White paper, little facts. 114 words in the abstract. There's a lot of numerology.
Well, I just think it's interesting. There's so many things that are very important to a lot of people in Bitcoin today that are not in the white paper, that were in the initial code drop though, like 21 million, for example. And just the whole like supply and how it's distributed and minted, that was sort of left to the code.
So that there's no mention of it in the white paper. So the first time anybody saw that was January 3rd or whatever. When was the actual software to run was published? January 3rd, 2009 or something?
I think that's right. I mean, January 3rd is when the Genesis block is dated. I think that's when the code was dropped. Although I think the code was shared with others in 2008 privately.
Oh, okay.
But like the
Public.
the final 1.0 version of the software, January 3rd sounds right.
Let's talk numerology for a minute. DK, I didn't know you were a numerologist. What are those words in the abstracts? What does that mean to you?
It doesn't really mean anything particular to me, but there's a lot of people searching for potential meaning there.
Okay.
114 words in the Bitcoin white paper's abstract have sparked curiosity and speculation. So coincidence, most likely Satoshi didn't count the words, but the numerology and symbolism is 114 equals 1 plus 1 plus 4 equals 6. Some link this to 6 confirmations, a common Bitcoin security threshold.
I don't know about all that. This sounds like some
highly
crap.
speculative. Do you know what Japanese Gorowase is? No. It's wordplay with numbers. You thought it was something about waifu. No, it's wordplay with numbers. And 114 can be read as 2 yo equals good or all right. So
Okay.
Max, sorry to disappoint, but I'm not a numerologist.
Yeah, those are pretty bad. But if someone else has other numerology that they could share, I'd be curious, because I do think that this is definitely whoever Satoshi is was paying a lot of attention.
Dude, I can keep going.
One other one that I think is interesting, I forget the number, but a number that would be really wild is the number of tokens. So I saw someone, I was reading someone's investment letter where they mentioned the number of sort of like AI style tokens that the Bitcoin white paper is. I don't know if anyone has that number. Maybe you want to throw that out. That would be interesting to look at too.
Psalm 114
Ooh, what's
is
that?
short and about liberation. A stretch, but some draw parallels to financial freedom.
It wouldn't surprise me if there's hidden gems in there, but whatever.
There's so much.
It doesn't really matter.
Kind of perfect planning and execution of the thing. It's just a work of art. It really feels like a creative work of art. Just perfect polish.
Well, and
Michelangelo.
maybe this would be a good moment to, someone asked, is Hal Finney Satoshi? I'm just curious. I mean, I know that, what's his name? The conservative reporter dude's like out here claiming CIA, which maybe. Who's y'all's best take? I know it doesn't necessarily matter, but whatever, have a little fun. Who do you guys speculate is Satoshi?
I don't like to speculate.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter.
Rather,
it doesn't matter for Bitcoin and Bitcoiners. It puts people's personal safety at risk.
He obviously wanted to be forgotten. He gave us a gift. Let's let him have his wishes met.
So sorry to poo-poo your question there, Max. But that is how I think it's like and actually it's kind of beautiful in its mystery. Like, let's just keep the beautiful
Keep it as a mystery. Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I don't downplay the idea that this could be a very very long-term game, and perhaps some really smart powers that be saw demographic shifts happening in the world and said, the dollar dies, what comes next? But regardless, even if that is the case, I don't think it changes anything. The code's all public, it's all open source, whether it's one person, whether it's a group. I mean, it's fun to speculate, of course. What's his name? The early internet dude. Oh, I'm forgetting his name. SimpleX is his book, fabulous book. He has a wild claim that it's an actual Japanese mathematician. There's a lot of wild claims out there, but you can do your own research and go down your own rabbit holes.
The only thing we know is it's not Craig Wright.
We already said it was Roger Ver at the Bitcoin.com white paper.
We're all Satoshi.
We are all Satoshi.
We are all. All right.
Okay.
With that, should we? Do you want to?
With that.
Okay, there.
Oh my God. No.
You're
now you look like
sweating
me.
like crazy. Yeah, now you can't.
I don't think I can handle
It's
this.
Steve
all the
and
time.
Steve.
Although what's really driving me nuts, this
Oh, it's better.
you tell me this beard, the strap keeps coming off. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
If it looks stupid, let me know.
Well,
It looks good.
I mean, beyond no, if it looks crooked, let me know.
Okay.
And then I'll take it off.
You also look a little bit like Wences now. I like it.
Wences or you? I don't know. I look like a combination.
Hybridized love child.
Combination
Yeah,
of Wences
exactly.
and Max.
Shout out.
Should we? I don't know what all we want to talk about.
mean, I
What
feel like
order?
we're-
But there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. What do we got?
Steak and Shake just announced this morning some stuff. We
Okay.
start
yeah.
there maybe.
Yeah.
Let's see. What did they announced? Steak and Shake announced a strategic Bitcoin reserve,
Oh, I
which
didn't
is
see that.
awesome.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Gotta check the group chat.
and it's Max just
I've been doing all that
rolls in at noon.
shit.
But it's what I'd call the square style
Yeah.
of strategic Bitcoin reserve, not the Saylor style.
Yeah.
It's not like a leverage thing. It's just I think what they committed to is any Bitcoin they receive from customers, they're going to retain as Bitcoin and put it in their strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which will, probably start relatively small, but grow over time, not only the accumulation, but the percentage of customers paying in Bitcoin. They also announced, is this crooked, David? Your job, your job is to tell me it's crooked.
The people on camera can't see this side.
Okay.
So it's
All right.
crooked, but
You look good.
I learned I can't smile. If I smile, then it comes off.
all right. Just be regular.
I have to
Stern
be
Steve.
like
Yeah.
super serious.
Just be like really pissed.
Yeah. See, there I go. I smiled and it came off. They also announced a integration with Fold,
I saw that. actually.
which look, I mean, you're the one that noted that. What is like if you what was it exactly? You
I
get
think-
$5.
yeah, I think-
if you pay with Fold, then you get $5.
Yeah, so I think Fold probably just as a marketing expense, it's helpful to get Bitcoin topped up in people's wallets, in a wallet that you can use and spend it at Stake and Shake, right? So I think Fold is doing a partnership with them where Fold will fund the $5 into your Fold wallet that you can then use to pay Stake and Shake. So it kind of like pairs nicely, and it's like a marketing expense for Folds. Otherwise, I think probably making exchange fees on like fiat Bitcoin on ramp. So it's just they know that if they get more people in the door, on their app as a
More
payment
money.
app, then they can make money at it. So it's really nice kind of ecosystem, I think, bootstrap that they're willing to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see more and more Bitcoin companies partnering with payment, point of sale providers or with merchants. To obviously, they have a vested interest, boost their own business, but it'll be like a more than the sum of the parts type of.
And in a lot of
partnership.
like a small, like a local business, I know Steak and Shake is more like a national thing, but if you're like a local coffee shop or a farmer's market business, you often don't have a lot of margin to play with. You're kind of like running it pretty tight. Whereas a technology business that has some sort of a Bitcoin fiat exchange thing either has a lot of margin or has a lot more potential to scale margin. So they could be a marketing cost that they could more easily kind of support rationally.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the third component of their Stake and Shake's announcement was that they're going to support OpenSats and open source
Oh,
Bitcoin
nice.
development.
Good.
I think it was 210 sats per Bitcoin meal they sell.
That's awesome. I like that.
So
You got Steve saying sats.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm a champion for
He's
the
back.
Bitcoin B symbol visually,
I agree with that. I think that
and then
makes a
people
lot
can
of sense.
say it however they like.
Right.
And so I quick math there. I actually, before I do run through my math, how many Bitcoin sales per day, or how many Steak and Shake restaurants are there?
No idea.
I think it's like 5,000 or something.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Or it's on that
Something like
order.
that sounds right, yeah.
3,000, 7,000.
If anyone wants to fact check us and give
yeah,
us in the
so
chat.
something like that. Let's
Okay.
just say 5,000.
Yeah, 5,000.
Um,
Call it easy.
Who is Steve? Steve from Minecraft.
Steve is
Deanna,
Steve.
you need to watch Minecraft.
Steve is Steve, and Steve is playing the role of another person named Steve.
Yeah.
Character.
It's meta. Don't worry.
So how many? So let's say there's 5,000 stores. How many Bitcoin meals per day do they sell?
Well, how many meals per day
today?
How many meals per day do they sell?
I don't know. That this is we're interviewing you for a
wanna-
job, Max.
you wanna
How
do per
how would you go about
store
estimating that?
estimate?
Well, I mean, I really don't know how many meals per day they would say. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's easier to say how many Bitcoin meals per day because it's very few. I would say probably per store, like one,
Okay, so 5,000 a day.
5,000 a day.
So and then so even with just that
Average cost of a meal.
reasonable / low estimate,
Yeah, $20.
well, it doesn't matter.
Oh.
Because they're donating the same amount no matter what the purchase size is.
Got it,
It's the
okay.
number of meals per day. So it would be like
Million sats.
200 and $425,000 a year, I
Mhm.
think, in donations.
In
which is
donations to
which is-
OpenSats.
which
Nice.
I think that's quite nice.
That's awesome.
Right? And I mean,
And it's not
Tether
it's
just
not-
donated
I know.
$250,000.
right.
So is Steak and Shake from 210 sat donations per meal can do more than that right at today's rate. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And imagine if it grows by 10x.
Exactly.
Then it's millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Well, I love this in general, this idea of instead of a fixed amount. Like, I think if there's one thing that really Bitcoin has taught me, it's incentives. Always put the incentives in place. And yeah, if it's like a scalable, donation, that's the same with Bitwise, right? With their ETF, which is, if someone wants to use an ETF, I still recommend Bitwise because they 10% of whatever goes through there, right? So I would love to see more, I guess, donations to Bitcoin be sort of tied to the success of Bitcoin itself.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I think that's really exciting. So good stuff from Steak and Shake. I definitely wanted to follow up on some of the ideas we talked about on the last show. And we talked about the night before at the Builder event when we had Pink Owl Coffee come here.
I went to Pink Owl yesterday.
Oh yeah, let's hear about that.
So there's all kinds of things
here.
here.
Yeah.
So we've all done a lot of follow up. So you want to start with your?
Sure.
Yeah,
So
tell us.
Well, I was going to hang out with Bob, and I was like, oh, let's just go meet at Pink Owl. Or he sort of suggested it because we were gonna hang somewhere up there. So he was hanging out at Pink Owl. He'd already sort of bought his lunch and coffee at the time I'd arrived. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go get a coffee or whatever, cortado. So I walk up there and, order the thing. And there, I was like, hey, I heard I could pay in Bitcoin. Is that right? And the person's like, yes, you can, of course. And then they kind of already knew about it. They were already trained up on how to get, I think the Square terminal to, show the QR code. And I used Primal as my my wallet.
Shout out Million. Let's go.
Which when I paid it, it was great. It was super easy. It worked right away. It was all fast. The slight nit that we discussed is that it did, the presentation didn't say Sats, but the wallet did say Sats.
What did the presentation say?
It has the Bitcoin B symbol, right?
Oh,
Square shows the Bitcoin B symbol.
Well, I thought that was the whole point. Oh, but you
so it's a
wanted
little
it. Yeah,
disconnected
got
to
it.
be like, I'm paying this thing and I'm reading this Bitcoin B symbol, this thing, and then I'm seeing on my side it shows
Sats.
Sats.
That's
which,
good.
like, I understand why, but just a little inconsistency if somebody doesn't understand why. I think more wallets and everybody kind of congregating on the same nomenclature and design and style would help new people who don't really understand all the nuance feel better and more certain that the thing they expected
And
worked.
what do you think would be best there? Just to have the B symbol on both?
Seems rational to me, but I haven't done the whole design exercise. I don't know, Steve or Matt or somebody else.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
Seems natural
we actually had it almost a year ago. Our December episode in December, we talked all about the Bitcoin B symbol.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I didn't know you could. He likes to say Sat still. I didn't realize.
I mean,
As long as the
no,
B
we've
symbol's
also talked about on the show that
Sats pulls off the
no,
top, bro.
So the evolution in thinking here is, focus on the display, not what people speak. Don't police how people speak about stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
You can say corn, coin, Bitcoin, bits, Sats, whatever you'd like. Whatever feels natural and comfortable. I say Bitcoin sometimes, I say Sats sometimes, but the display should be the Bitcoin B symbol.
I agree with all that.
Much simpler and more beautiful.
And as we touched on in earlier episodes, I like letting language evolve naturally. I think Sats has kind of already evolved naturally, but the B symbol I think is spot on. So,
But I saw Joe. He came by and shook hands. And
who's Joe? Oh,
the owner
the-
of Pink Owl. Yeah.
nice.
He missed Builder. So
Oh yeah.
he
okay.
doesn't
So
know
you didn't meet
Joe like
Okay.
we know Joe.
Yeah.
Not yet.
But
not
you
yet.
should watch Haley's 21 and 21 interview with
Yeah.
Joe.
Oh,
Yeah.
sick.
She sent me that.
So for anyone
before,
that
yeah.
wasn't here in person for Builder, you can watch Haley's 21 and 21 episode.
So one question on this is we talked about, I'm guessing Joe is a pretty hardcore Bitcoiner to be the early adopter, which is awesome for
Yes.
whatever his reasons are. What I'm more curious about is we talked about how do you make sure your staff who may not have heard the good word yet, how they get into it. Did the staff did he mention anything like now he's a Bitcoiner too? Is he personally excited about it or just kind of like, oh yeah, my boss tells me to do this thing. Like I'll do this thing.
We didn't talk. I didn't talk to the cashier. She didn't volunteer her private keys or anything. It was, I'm a customer coming in to make a transaction,
Let's
and
do that.
she didn't. She just made the transaction
Did
easy
she
for
seem
me.
excited or not really?
I'd say her face kind of like, oh yeah, like I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Her face kind of lit up. I'd say, or she was like very welcoming, and it was a great experience. But we didn't nerd out on Bitcoin stuff, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It would be something to follow up with Joe about because I'm really curious about this question of you may have the owners that are really stoked,
yeah,
but how to get how to get the staff excited too is really
Right.
interesting.
Well, so I've been talking with folks on my Spiral team who we're working on a project to help merchant adoption of Bitcoin and ultimately customer adoption. This will be independent of Square. Square will obviously be part of it, but there's merchants that use Toast and Clover and other point of sale solutions. We want to be able to point them to ways to accept Bitcoin as well, which of course can include switching to Square. But that shouldn't be a requirement. Some people maybe like their current solution, or it's just a much bigger lift to switch.
Yeah.
So I actually tweeted out early this morning, like, what are other solutions for point of sale? I already know a bunch. I'm just curious to crowdsource other ideas, because one thing that we'd like to create from Spiral is like a one-page leave behind. I forget if we talked about this last week or not, but I'll talk about it again. But we want to arm the Bitcoin army, with simple material that can help them sell their favorite merchants, their local merchants, globally. And so, like, just a one-page leave behind that makes the case. We think it should focus on saving 3% fees, like saving the fees, like sell the merchant on the biggest value proposition to them. And so we produced that, and we're thinking of ways to how to get that in the hands of people, printed out, high quality, consistent way for people to hand it out. And we have some other clever ideas too, that may or may not be sitting on this table, to help. I'll let you guys figure it out, and the audience figure it out. To maybe
Minecraft Act.
arm.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm looking at. So someone, by the way, called you a Bitcoin miner, which I thought was clever.
Oh yeah. All right. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if someone's done that within Minecraft.
Yeah. We talked to that Minecraft dude like years ago.
Satlantis.
Yeah. That was cool. Like because
Okay.
now they have an open source server, but that'd be good.
So we're thinking through ways, like one way, there's a lot of other Bitcoin spaces in addition to Presidio Bitcoin. Like, can we arm those locations and then the people that go there and start there and grow? So that's an initiative we're thinking about doing.
I like Matthew's suggestion. Force the staff to listen to PBJ weekly. That's that's clearly the answer.
Required.
They can have a TV on in the cafe or whatever, and just live stream us.
One other thought on that. When you say you think the fees are what to focus on, I think the fees is a really good one. I'm curious, maybe it's worth like testing or getting feedback. I mean, the other thing that makes a lot of sense to me is just like save in Bitcoin, right? I think more and more people are hearing like the dollar is dying or my local currency is dying.
Yeah.
Have you guys, I don't know.
That's a good question. Yeah. That's one reason I'm bringing it up on the show is just to get other good ideas. I think we should talk about that, because I mean, Square started with that feature, the conversions feature. And I saw the numbers for, I mean, it's been in beta for a long time, but now it's live. And because Bitcoin acceptance doesn't go live until November 10th, but the conversions is already live. And
conversions mean your customers pay you with USD, and then you convert some fraction of it into Bitcoin as a merchant.
Super simple UI. You just say like, 1% or 5% or 10%, or I think you can go up to 50% now. I think, I forget if Joe said it publicly. Anyway, Joe's a good saver. Let's just put it that way. And so, I think, we should definitely consider that as well. I think it's a super compelling argument to merchant. I mean, the one difference with, it might be one of the best or the best tool to get the merchant to start, but it doesn't have the network effects of like getting, the engagement of customers. So we need to think about it in that light as well.
Well, and I just think from a human psychology perspective, it's a really big, like, I think the number of merchants who would say, I would be interested in saving in Bitcoin if I'm paid in Bitcoin is going to be substantially higher than the number of merchants who are so orange pilled. They say, convert the USD I'm getting into Bitcoin. I think it's just like a psychology thing. Like most people are not orange pilled enough. They're like, oh, get rid of the dirty money and give me the good money. I think for a lot of people, it's like, I'll give you an example with my honey dealer. Like there's no chance in hell he would ever like turn on the convert to Bitcoin conversion feature. But because I like pay him in Bitcoin, he thinks it's cool. He's like, I want to save all or a portion of that in Bitcoin. And so I think it's just like a cool little thing. And it also kind of like subtly encourages them to be like, oh, if I want more, like I should encourage.
Right. I think those are all good points. One thing we talked about is that there's no single group or source that's going to come up with the definitive sales pitch, right?
Yeah.
It's the world's diverse, merchants are
Decentralized.
diverse, locations are diverse, etc. And even Bitcoin, what resonates with people varies a lot. So
Yeah.
I think we definitely agree there'll be multiple versions of this leave behind, and like let's start with like the best 2 or 3 that we can think of, publish that, others and can contribute, and then the Bitcoin advocate who's going to print them out and go hand them out can choose
Add their own. Yeah.
What fits their style
Yeah.
best, and what do they think will be the best sales pitch. And they might learn, they might think option A is the best. They go try it. It fails. They try option B and they're like, that was the right one. Right.
Yeah.
So, and so I think conversions are saving 2 different ways, like you pointed out. One is like convert fiat to Bitcoin, but also the other psychology is like, okay, whatever I receive in Bitcoin, I'll just keep
That's
that in
Bitcoin. Yeah.
So I think that's super cool. I'd like to follow up on what I was really stoked from our conversation last week about a Bitcoin merchant association.
Yeah.
Not a, but many, many Bitcoin merchant associations, like the Marin Bitcoin Merchant Association. So I had a good conversation with some other folks on my team about that, and I have some questions. So maybe you guys or maybe someone in the audience has additional ideas. One thing that resonated with me from last week's show is the local component and sort of grassroots, like the Joes of the world from Pink Owl Coffee, who are big Bitcoin advocates. They are a merchant, probably have vested interest in, or I mean, do have a vested interest, whether they know it or not, to get other merchants in the community to accept Bitcoin, which begets more customers having Bitcoin in a spending wallet on their phone and know how
Network
to do it
effects.
and think about it, and it's a habit, and so it just makes a lot of sense. So it resonated with me to like, how do we enable the Joes of the world to do that, and then do it at a local level? That still resonates with me, but that's going to take time to grow, months, years, etc. Like maybe we convince Joe to do it and he'll do it in Marin, but then like others will sprout up. But like a year from now, like a wild success would be like, hundreds or thousands, but there's millions and millions and millions of merchants. For this one page leave behind that, we'd like to make available like ASAP, does it point to a website or a Facebook page or some kind of resource? And if so, it can't be, we're not in a position yet to like point to the local version,
right?
Because there are 0, and even a year from now, if there's like 1,000, there's not millions. So there's not one that's relevant to, if I'm an advocate in Iowa or something, maybe there's not the local Iowa chapter. So should there be a global website or resource page or whatever for Bitcoin Merchant Association? And then, it almost seems like yes, for that reason.
I don't see why not.
And then if I want to create the local chapter in the Presidio or wherever I live, can I just go to that global one and like either A, I can just use it, but if I have ideas to customize the experience for my community, I can just like click a button. And it creates
the website.
Clone the website basically. And then have, whether I'm vibe coding or whatever tools I'm using, I can, or like if there's this global resource of ideas and options, and I can just select, I like these 3 ideas,
right?
Click them. They show up on the Presidio Merchant Association website. What are your thoughts on these ideas?
Yeah. I mean, overall, I like the idea of having some, the leave behind messaging, and then kind of having that available on a global or kind of at least national, but hopefully global website. I think one of the things that, and then obviously letting people customize it for their own needs sounds great. One of the things that I think is, let's say, under discussed, like I think it's the benefit of using Bitcoin in a kind of a merchant customer transaction is very, very obvious to the merchant in terms of saving the 3% fees. It's not clear why the customer should want to use it. So I think having some messaging around that, like what do we think is the best way to explain to merchants why their customers should, or help them design programs that might work with their customers to encourage that spending. I think there's obviously, things like the Fold app that gives you $5. That's one reason. But if you just kind of get like, here's $5 free, go spend it, that might not create the habit. So what are the ways to empower the merchants to explain to the community why they should be using it?
Yeah, I think there's two marketing kits that need to be created here. One is for the Bitcoin advocate, people like us, people like that are watching the show.
Yep.
That and we're not necessarily, or most of us would not be merchants. So their marketing kit for that would be the one page leave behind and a few other things maybe. Then the separate marketing kit is for merchants, and these would be for the Joes of the world. They'd be for the early adopters. They're probably going to be Bitcoiners themselves, because otherwise,
Why would they do this? Yeah.
why would they do? I mean, you know,
Yeah, they might
eventually they'll like, they don't start as a Bitcoiner, but they'll see the business interest in becoming more of a vocal advocate in their community. But to start with, it'll be Bitcoiners. But I think there'll be a marketing kit for merchants, and then that would include what you're talking about, which is like, what are all the things that I can do as a merchant to like make customers aware they can pay in Bitcoin, why they should pay in Bitcoin, ideas like offering 21% off, or like very aggressive marketing tactics, even providing like the numbers behind it, why maybe that's not as outrageous as it sounds. Like, you're not going to go bankrupt if you do that. And maybe that varies by business category too. I mean, different businesses have different margins and different customer acquisition costs. So for one business, 21% off can make complete sense. For another, it would be, you know, idiotic. So
Right.
Yeah.
So I can imagine like that all being many variations there for different types of businesses.
And so a couple ideas that come to mind, I'll come back to the association, but just on that, I mean, it'd be dope for Square to actually also give people the tools to be able to run their own rewards programs and experiment. And then also like highlight what's worked for other people. So maybe it services for your kind of business. We've seen this kind of thing work. And you can do that just like very like organic at first as part of an association with just a PDF or a website, and saying, here's some case studies of what worked, what didn't. But eventually it'd be cool if just in the terminal, it's like, hey, I'm going to accept Bitcoin, like click here to like set up like what we recommend is the rewards program for you.
Yep.
So I think that'd be cool.
Real quick riff on that. So agree. Also, we got to keep in mind, I mean, obviously Square launching is amazing. And it's my own company, so I hope they do really well. But we, as Bitcoiners, we need to think about other point of sale solutions too. We're also investors in startups too, right?
Yeah.
So, like for all the startups and wallets and point of sale solutions that have been developed so far and the ones to come, these are great opportunities for them to stand out, move faster than big companies. So that, you know, I'd love to see different experiments play out from different startups as well.
I agree. And I think for startups, and some startups I've invested in, I know, are thinking a little bit about this, but like, yeah, like just start with like a rewards program. So if you're going to accept Bitcoin, like how do you give the tools to that merchant to figure out what kind of rewards program to do and to actually just like execute it? Just make it super easy. Like click here and like you get whatever, 10% off. And that's what we recommend. And you should be able to use AI to like see what's working, what's not, and like shift that up or down over time. So I think that's a really good idea. On the point with the Bitcoin associations, I love, so like I'm envisioning a couple things. One, sort of like the GitHub type page where you can just like open a pull request and like anyone can get their, I don't know if you want to start, maybe you want to be a little more selective at first, or maybe you don't. I have an idea on how you could do the latter, but like, there's no reason there shouldn't be as hyper local as you want it to be. It could just be like on my street, association, or, San Francisco or Presidio and all the levels in between. Maybe you start off a little bit more sort of like, BitDev started off with New York and then with San Francisco and then a few others. But one thing that'd be really cool over time to grow into, or maybe even start with this from day one, is give people the ability to do it, to register their chapter. And on the page that does it, either they choose it or the page does it automatically, give them a Nostr identity. Because what's really cool there is you could start saying, okay, there's infinite number. This is like the whole web of trust thing we've been talking about for well over a year, is you could have filtering. You could say like, all right, anyone can start an association, but if I want to go and see which association I want to be part of or whatever, it'd be really cool to see, kind of like the little like faces of like, here are the Nostr keys that are running this one or that support this association. And then somehow that should all feed back into the BTC open map, which eventually should use Nostr as well. And every identity, every store that has a location on that map should also have a Nostr identity. So they can then publish out on Nostr and everyone else like openly, like what their deals are, et cetera, et cetera. But like, ideally what I'm envisioning is the open social graphs. You can just see who's part of what and like who's supporting which businesses. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for network effects once you plug in Nostr.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
We should do more brainstorming around that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I remain super stoked about this. Each day goes by, I hear new ideas. They all build upon each other. And I'm just becoming more optimistic about Americans spending Bitcoin at Square point of sale systems, and that'll create pressure on other point of sale solutions to come up with Bitcoin solutions.
And just, I mean, I'm seeing also more of my startups that are in other countries are starting to think about this as well. It's like, hey, is now the time to start doing payment processing in Mexico or Brazil or Philippines? And, historically it wasn't really working, but maybe this is going to be the kick that, and I will say, I was always a little bearish on this. Like I always thought, and I still kind of do, that like something like AI agents or something internet first was going to be what really takes it off. But who knows? Maybe this is the kick. I mean, the beautiful thing is it doesn't really matter. Everything is good for
everything.
Bitcoin, but
I also have been relatively bearish for the reasons you said, and just especially for like American buying coffee is, to me, seems like the last use case.
Oh, come on, it's the most important
because
thing in
there's
crypto,
there's already good payment solutions, and but I think the key is the merchant is the one that has to get sold because it makes sense for their business, and then they'll be empowered, or they'll be empowered but also motivated to sell their customers to spend in Bitcoin. And now that we have really good user experience for many spending wallet options, there's still a first time cost and hurdle for a normal person to get Bitcoin in a wallet on their phone, but it's not that bad. And then the experience once they have it installed is like quite good, actually.
Can we actually pause there? I want to talk about something. So I was a little bit disappointed and shocked this week for a number of reasons. So not to shift us all the way to the NBA, but on Monday,
nice.
On
transition.
I'm curious to see how Draymond fits into.
We're getting there. So on Monday, I went to see the Grizzlies Warriors game. Very exciting.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about the outcome for you.
We lost, but I had a couple of takeaways. One takeaway, the Warriors looked good overall, very balanced scoring. The Grizzlies, I mean, Ja's nice. He's always nice. But until we get a center, until we get Edie or BC back, like we don't have any rebounding. Like it is what it is. We're still 3-2, but yeah, the Warriors look nice. My second takeaway is that Draymond Green is a piece of absolute trash. Like, fuck that guy. Like, dude, I generally like the Warriors. I never understood why people didn't like Draymond. He went behind on one of our players and literally took his legs out from under him while he was going out, like a dangerous play, like the kind of play that could end someone's career. And okay, sometimes you hard foul, you didn't mean to. Like if he had come over and dapped the dude up, whatever. No, first of all, it was a flagrant 1. It should have been flagrant 2. Like that dude shouldn't even be in the league. So he comes over and then he starts showboating and taunting and laughing about it. I'm like, dude, you could have ended a guy's career and you're laughing? Like, nah, trash, absolute trash. So that's my thought on Draymond. But number 3 is the guy that I went with, and if he's listening, I'm not going to dox you and, shout out to you, you know who you are. But someone that's been in Bitcoin a long time. And, I grabbed the tickets and I was like, you can send me max at getalby.com. And, he comes back and I certainly don't think this homie's trying to stiff me, but I'm like, man ain't paying. What's going on? And he comes by and he's like, look, I'm trying to get my Alby to work. It's really tricky. It's like, do I have to open a channel? And it's like, okay. And he's like, but I don't know if I really need a channel. Do I get my Bitcoin back if I close it? I was like, all right, look, if you're not a power user for Alby, I get it. Why don't you use something simpler? Just go to Cash App. He's like, well, I haven't used Cash App in a long time. I was like, okay, Moon Wallet. And then we had to get anyways, long story short, after multiple back and forths, this person's not a noob. I was just like, fuck it. Here's an on-chain address. Just send me that. It was disappointing. And so I think that to me was, it was a good realization of we have a long ways to go of just a normal person getting, I totally forgot this because I've been in Lightning for so long. But it was disappointing to see. Yeah,
I mean, DK's also had problems in the past. Not you personally, but when you're trying to, I should just take this off. I don't know. What do you guys think?
We have a couple of funny comments, by the way. We got one person saying, for a second, I thought we have 2 Maxes on the show.
Yeah.
And then Matthew says, DK, if you need someone to talk to during this segment.
Right.
Sports.
But you've had problems with similar experiences where friends, colleagues, whatever, you're trying to get them to make a payment to you, or you're trying to pay them, or whatever, and it falls apart. I mean, we definitely haven't. Yeah, I feel very uncomfortable today in this gear. So please give me feedback.
I feel so comfortable in my costume.
Yeah, all right. Please give me feedback.
You grab it right there, DK. What's going on? Too much time on Mika.
No. I mean, we have gone from there are no good user. I couldn't, even if I know what I'm doing, I can't demonstrate a good user experience. So now we have multiple products that do deliver good user experiences. That's a fact now. But we're still not to the point where they all interoperate perfectly together.
Yeah.
And even the really good user experiences still have some warts, but the progress has been phenomenal, and the trajectory is really good. So it's definitely, the timing is right to like push for payments, get people doing payments. And I do think normies can have a spending wallet on their phone now. I'm curious why you didn't recommend Phoenix as an option.
I've just never used Phoenix.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not French. Like, I'm just kidding. I like the French, but I don't know.
Well, Lexi's not. I think Lexi's still invite only, but
Exactly, I would've done that,
Lexi and Phoenix are both good user experiences as well.
But is Phoenix? Don't you still have to like pay to open a channel or no?
Like basically you should just deposit like a few $100 in your wallet, and then after that it's a breeze.
Yeah,
it's like quite simple. As long as you're comfortable starting with like, oh, I want to put a couple $100 spending. Do I have an issue?
No.
Okay, you're laughing at me.
I'm appreciating you've got it kind of riding on your face just the right way.
I don't know. Anyway, for the use case of like you fund a spending wallet a couple $100, I think Phoenix is great. But if it's like, oh, I received a zap as a brand new user, then not so much.
But to be clear for Phoenix, you're talking about someone, and in this case, this guy could have been a good example, but someone who's familiar enough with Bitcoin, they already have some Bitcoin, they are comfortable making an on-chain transaction to start.
Yeah, this would be like, you have a couple $100, or you have maybe thousands on Coinbase or Cash App, and you want to put a couple $100 in a spending wallet, then Lexi and Phoenix are good user experiences.
Well, and that's another thing I didn't even think to push on that is like if you have Coinbase or Kraken or whatever, like you should be able to also just do Lightning directly from there too.
Yeah, if you have Coinbase app on your phone.
So
what like Cash App.
So there's almost two different user experiences we need to solve for. There's the person who understands Bitcoin, and I, by the way, I saw on Stacker News they did something really cool. I did not go to BitConf or not BitConf, TabConf this year. I haven't actually never been TabConf, and it sounds pretty good. But anyways, they had a Stacker News booth there, and apparently I think they were like serving salsa and like it sounded like a lot of fun. But that was I read their takeaways, and one of their biggest takeaways was there was even a TabConf, which is like a fairly, I would say, one of the more technically sophisticated conferences. There were a huge number, maybe even a majority, but like, if not a majority, like a large percentage of users who were super familiar with Bitcoin, but still could not get a Lightning wallet set up to start with Stacker News. So I just think, so there's two really interesting cases. There's a lot of people that need that. Like, I have some Bitcoin. How do I make an on-chain transaction? Maybe Phoenix is still the best. Hopefully Lexi soon. Alby's amazing, but you need to be committed enough to open that channel. And I think there's some other opportunities. I know folks we've been talking to, maybe this is their moment finally just to get that node up really, really quickly. But then I think, what about for the absolute noob who doesn't even have Bitcoin yet? For me, the only thing I really feel comfortable saying there is Cash App. Do you guys agree or disagree with that?
Well, again, I mean, for certain people, that's a great choice, and others, it's not a great choice. If you're not American, it's not a great choice.
Sure, but for folks in the U.S. who don't have Bitcoin yet, who you want to like
there's still so it's a great choice because it's a reputable brand, has a long track record, it works well, it's got I can quibble in the UX, but overall good UX. It's a great, easy way to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
But you do have to KYC and onboard, and there's friction in onboarding. But you pretty much have that no matter what you do if you want to buy Bitcoin. So if you're truly new to Bitcoin and you need to acquire Bitcoin, and your option, your choice to acquire is to buy, then Cash App's a very good choice.
Yeah, cool. But by the way, well, two thoughts on that. One, like I hope we get to the point where you onboard into Lightning first. I think that's going to be very powerful for people that just want spending and like you don't even have to know what on-chain is. The second thing is on Cash App. I'm sure you guys have thought of this, but like what will be super, super dope is stage 1, 2, 1, when I just scan a QR code and didn't even ask me, I don't even have to buy Bitcoin first. Like you can just like click a box and it's like, do you want to use the Bitcoin network? And it does all that on the back end. And then eventually what will be super cool is when I have some Bitcoin in there and eventually I can just do like, I don't know, like whatever the stable coin or dollar solution is on Lightning Network. I can just keep my Bitcoin, do auto loans and use that to pay that off.
But I mean, let's expand more on what you're saying, the onboarding. Like there's all kinds of different people. Like how are you imagining people? I mean, clearly the use case that has been common is like I KYC and I connect my bank account and put dollars in the exchange and then I buy Bitcoin.
Yeah. So imagine
but what are other cases?
So imagine, for example, like right now, when you go to a Square merchant, they often will say Cash App Pay as an option, which I assume is no fees. I mean, I know it's no fees for Square since it's all internal. And so, I can just pay with Cash App. What would be really cool is if they just say, hey, I scan a QR code, any Bitcoin QR code or any Square QR code, and it just says, do you want to save on or whatever? Like, I don't know what the UX would have to be because the merchant, well, if the merchant's already offering it to you and it just says, hey, do you want to use Bitcoin in the back end? We can auto buy Bitcoin and just do that. Or even just do it for you, like check a box and like, we'll buy and like send Bitcoin for you. And then maybe then there's not like a learning opportunity to suggest, oh, would you like to learn more about Bitcoin and buy some or something? I don't know.
Sorry, say that again. I'm at a store.
Yeah, I'm at a store and there's a QR code and I can just like scan it with Cash App and like you can have the option. Maybe I have to opt into the first time, but it just buys and uses Bitcoin for me automatically. Like I don't have to buy Bitcoin and then have that.
Oh, meaning I already have Cash App.
Yeah.
And I have
like
dollars. I have
KYC.
dollars in my Cash App.
Yeah, you've already gone
And
through
then I pay
KYC.
with dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's just all like I just scan any QR code and just like the Bitcoin happens on the back end. I don't even know about it.
I still want a great gifting flow.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that has not been solved, not even close.
I still, and an example of that would be gift cards. Like I still think it's crazy that if I walk into like a CVS or Walgreens or whatever store where there's a rack with Starbucks and Apple and all these brands that people know with the gift cards, why is there not a Bitcoin gift card there?
Well, there is, right? Isn't that what Azteca does? I don't think they do it in the US as much, but
Well, they're not in the US. And they're not doing that. I mean, they have that. You go to their website and you can pay to buy Bitcoin, and then you go to a local store like in Brazil or whatever,
right.
and then you show them the voucher, or actually, sorry, you pay that. So I go to a website and I say I want to buy like $100 of Bitcoin. Then I get I print out a voucher. I go to the local store with like a code. I pay the local store, here's my cash, local cash. And then that tells Azteca, okay, give them the Bitcoin.
Do they not have the flow though? That you don't have to the website. You can just take cash to the store and get, I don't know, like they print off a voucher for you in real time. I'm not sure on that.
I think it's what I said. So that, I mean, I think that's also cool, but that's not, they're not doing gift cards in Iraq. In fact, Million actually created gift cards in Iraq.
That's right.
Founder of Primal. And that was 2019 is right when I started at Block. I tried that experience out and it was a brilliant onboarding experience. It was fantastic. It just worked great. Like I had
what happened to it? Is it still around? Or?
No, he stopped working on that and then he started Primal. But the user experience was great. I mean, you had a gift card and then it gave you simple instructions. Download this app from the App Store. It was super easy. Like I think you entered a code or scanned a QR code or something like that, and then it deposited the Bitcoin in your app. It was self custody, but it was just like it's a dead simple. Like a normal person could do it. It's a hard business to start up though, because like there's like one or two distributors. They have all the power. They get all the money. They get all the margins.
I see.
It's like Black Hawk.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a good business to enter. Certainly as a startup and even as like a larger company. But nonetheless, as a product that I'd like to see in stores, like that's missing. And
has anybody talked to? Is it Blackhawk? I think you're right.
Yeah.
Has anybody talked to them about Bitcoin?
Presumably Million.
So he was using one of the main distributors.
I don't know, but I mean,
okay.
I'm sure he at least investigated.
It was Canada only for his.
Okay.
And others may or may not are doing that.
Million, if you're listening, maybe you can give us a little TLDR in the chat.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of Bitcoin related businesses that I think maybe you or Steve may have proposed a Bitcoin savings bond as a new startup opportunity.
Well, Haley was saying she had a bad experience.
With what?
With
Paper
kind of US
bonds.
savings bonds.
It was really frustrating.
That's
I
okay.
like those US bonds.
She was had a bad paper bond experience.
Just
happened?
traditional US savings bond type things.
Yeah.
With paper. And but did you propose somebody should do this with Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, why doesn't that exist?
Because it seems like
why doesn't that exist?
You get,
I mean, when as a kid, I recall like you go to your bank and you like a common gift to children or babies or young children or whatever. It was like you pay $500, you give the bank $500, you get back this like piece of paper that then like 15 years later or whatever, you could go back to the bank and say, here's my piece of paper, and then you get $1,000.
Right. So it has a built-in yield or interest rate on
Yep.
the bond.
Yep. And that was like pretty compelling in terms of like, here's a gift I can give someone. They're young. They can't
screw it up.
They can't screw it up.
You can't take this to Vegas.
Kind of like time locked,
Yeah.
and then they get it in the future, and then they'll really appreciate it in the future. That's like a nice gift for like grandma or grandpa to give their grandson or granddaughter. Why isn't there a Bitcoin equivalent of that? And especially because you can take advantage of cool things with Bitcoin, like time locking. I mean, it's built into the protocol. You can like literally lock it up so no one in the world can spend it until a certain date or whatever. A product wouldn't have to use that, but that type of stuff is possible with programmable money.
I thought you were talking about using the fact that the Bitcoin forward CAGR is probably 20, 30, 40%, something much larger than people would expect as yield on a bond. And so you could actually have the headline number on the bond could be quite high compared to how much money you're putting in, right?
Isn't that what we were talking about with like the bit bonds, and the government was trying to create their own with a little bit of a Bitcoin kicker to do that, blend Bitcoin in?
I remember that thing happening. Was that about a year ago or so?
Yeah,
I do remember that being a topic of discussion. I don't recall exactly what.
The thing that's always amusing to me, and I get kind of why it works because most people are not yet sold, but it's always like, with MicroStrategy and bit bonds and all of these things, like the whole assumption is like, to your point, it's like you can get these really nice yields just because like the Bitcoin CAGR is so damn high. So it's always just kind of like, hey, here's the product idea. We take this incredible asset with incredible returns and we water it down with some other crap. And then we give you like the kicker on that. And I get it because most people are used to the old school stuff, but
I mean, in a sense, I guess that's a very negative view. I would recommend, yes, people first buy Bitcoin, but if you aren't yet fully sold or you're still learning about it, but you're like, look, I think SOFR this week dropped to 4.25%. So maybe spreads on SOFR in the range of 5, 6, 7%.
What's SOFR?
The overnight lending rate. The Fed just dropped a quarter point. When was it? Wednesday or Thursday or whatever.
I didn't even see that. Yeah.
So people are accustomed to like, you take SOFR plus a point or 2 or 3. So, 4 and change, you're talking 7% is what people see as like a reasonable interest rate, right? And with Bitcoin, if you believe that it's going to be 20 or 30 or more, right, percent per year, you can actually build products that take advantage of that difference and give people something much better than the maybe 6 or 7% they could otherwise get.
No, I mean, I get it. And that's the other side. That's a more positive, like charitable view of it.
Also, I mean, there's just different use cases. Like if I'm a grandpa and want to give my grandchild a gift that will bear fruit later, I can't just like go to Coinbase or Cash App and buy Bitcoin. That doesn't meet my needs.
Yeah.
So I'm happy if I'm net paying 10% fees or losing like the last 10% gain over 10 years or whatever, so be it.
No, totally. And I actually like that idea even more. Like I get what you're saying. It makes sense for the old world finance. I was saying you had this idea where they like take like 90% crap, i.e. like dollars or treasuries, mix that with a little bit of Bitcoin so you get some of that sweet CAGR. I like this idea a lot. I think this actually could flow into your gifting idea too, of like a product where it's just like one of the products is just a time lock. It's Bitcoin, but it's time locked and like it's designed for grandparents giving to their kids.
It almost feels like it could be part of the strategy suite because they keep introducing new products to new segments, right? Yep. And obviously this is a very different, grandma and grandpa are very different than, $1 trillion institutional funds, but they already are now introducing things that are intended for like, they're going after like high yield money market accounts for retail. So this just seems like an extension of their strategy.
Did we ever, by the way, get the very specifics? I know I shared a couple links and you're like, yeah, it's already been known. Do you feel like that's already well understood by everybody and it's just nonsense to revisit? Or
which part?
The stretch, MicroStrategy's stretch product and
the dollar.
Well, I don't think
the return on capital.
I don't think we've talked about the taxes on the show.
We talked about stretch, but we didn't talk about taxes.
So I don't know. I don't think anything new has happened in this past week, but I saw at least 1 or 2 threads that I think I shared at least one of them where people were breaking down how the stretch product is much, much better than just the 10% that you see as the headline number on the stretch yield. But it's, you could think of it as closer to 20% because of the way taxes work on the specifics of how that product is structured, which I wouldn't claim to be an expert or giving tax advice on this particular thing. But my understanding, and I want to hear if this is your understanding too, my understanding is you take stretch, and stretch is nominally considered to be like about a 10% yield. It can be up or down. It could be 10.25 or 9.75, but it's roughly, you can think of it 10% for simplification. And let's say you put some amount, call it 100K or $1 million or whatever into stretch. Each year you get paid out that 10%. So if you, let's call it $1 million, you get 100K of yield per year. But
because who doesn't have a spare million to put in?
Okay, 10K, whatever. It scales up and down.
I was gonna say you toss a Billy in there. It's cool.
You can scale up and down. It's kind of
a spare 100 mil I get in yield. It's cool. Sweet. Trilly.
Okay, sorry. $10. You put $10 into the stretch.
Win. I was like, I don't know if I got $10.
And at the end of the year, you've earned a $1 yield. Every quarter, you get 25 cents.
Yeah.
Does this example making you feel more pleb? It's all going to be a wash in the tax moment, though. The point I was making is this. Let's call it
$100. Or yeah, okay.
100. If you get too small, the taxes kind of become a wash. Anyway.
100K.
So your first year, you've earned $10,000 in yield, right? But my understanding is I think that's return on capital. That's not dividend income, so it doesn't get taxed as income. I don't know if it is taxed as something.
That's the claim. I'd say since none of us are CPAs or lawyers,
do your own research.
But like the claim is it's return on capital. It's not. Would not be treated as income tax. And as return on capital,
it's just cap gains.
No, it's not cap gains tax.
What is it?
It reduces your cost basis on the asset that you bought. So if we spend 100K to buy it, then the first year I get $10,000 out as my 10%. And now my cost basis went from 100K to 90K.
Wait a second. What voodoo is this?
So at some point in the future, if I sell that, I'm going to have to pay capital gains on the delta between the 90K and the 100K, right?
And this treatment is independent of stretch. It just happens to be that stretch.
I'm not sure I understand
this.
Capital.
So okay, let's go through this example. I have 100K. I get 10K out. Now, when I sell it, I have 110K that I'm selling.
No. You bought 100K.
Yeah.
If you sold it the day you bought it, you'd have no capital gains. If you sold it 6 months after you bought it, you'd have basically no capital gains because it's basically like 100K.
It's supposed to stay.
It's supposed to stay.
In theory, it stays at 100K.
Yeah, okay, let's call it 100K.
Up and down a little bit, but basically you have no cap gains, right? If you've taken your 4 distributions throughout the year, and now you have 10K that you've been given as like yield, right?
Oh, and to be clear, that's separate. That's like cash.
That's cash that went to you, and you still own 100K in stretch, but now your cost basis on stretch is no longer 100K. It got reduced to 90K. So if you ever sell it, you have to pay the cap gains difference between the 100K and the 90K.
And then the claim is that can continue until the cost basis goes to 0, and then you can't keep doing it. You can't create a negative cost basis. So after that, but the claim then is still, so let's say after 10 years, I got 100K paid out to me. My cost basis is 0. 11th year, I get another 10K paid out to me. The claim is that I only owe capital gains tax on that 10K, not income tax. So even in the 11th year, it's more attractive than a typical bond or savings account.
So you're basically paying no tax the first 10 years, assuming you keep holding the stretch.
Deferred tax.
Okay.
So you're not paying tax, but it's deferred.
The 11th year, you get another 10K payment, and you pay that as cap gains on the 11th year. And if I ever sell the stretch, then I do have to pay cap gains
on the difference between the zero and the value
and whatever
of it.
And the value or the cost basis.
Your cost basis has gone to 0 if you've done it for 10 years.
Okay.
Your cost base has gone to 0.
Got it.
Now you have to pay capital gains on the whole thing.
I got you.
But remember, you had 10 years where you weren't paying capital gains on that.
And so if you believe that the dollar is going to hyperinflate, it's just like, oh, I'd much rather defer taxes to the future and like paying like.
Deferring tax is almost always a good
thing. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So my high level take on all this, and I've said this many times, not to be a broken record on the show. It's great. I'm glad there are people out there that are, and like hats off to Saylor. He's a great financial engineer. It's still honestly, just going back to the kind of the purity of the white paper,
Yeah.
it makes me sad and frustrated that I mean, I get it. And like, God bless, great job, like figure all the loopholes out. But like, wouldn't it be wonderful to one day live in a world where it's just like the electronic, there are no all these fancy taxes and loopholes. It's like super simple. Maybe there's no income tax. Maybe it's just taxes on what you buy. Super simple. I don't know. It frustrates me that you have to be an expert to play these like tricky games, and like it's always a way to funnel money from the poor to the
We'll have to
rich.
do an episode on taxes.
Yeah, no, I definitely
Yeah.
not.
Because
No advice.
I'll challenge you to come up with a simple, fair proposal.
Yeah.
Well, one simple
I don't
fair,
think
If you-
you'll be able to.
Yeah. What you're talking about is very regressive. So if you pay tax on the things that you buy,
you could also do a land tax, right? That's like the one thing.
Yeah.
It's like my whole thing is I'm not an expert. I'm not saying I propose. I mean, one idea is one day imagine
we're all
there's
like disclaimers all around.
imagine there's no heaven, imagine there's no country, like imagine
Yeah.
there is no tax. That's
Yeah.
where I think we could get to one
Yeah.
day, and still there's better quality of life for everyone because
because of
everything is so cheap and
abundance.
abundance. Like that's a world that we could shoot for. But I
I
also
think it's within reach. I don't think that's purely fictional fantasy. I think it's possible.
Well, I certainly hope so, right?
Yeah.
But then I think on the other
Build
hand,
what I want.
yeah, yeah, just knock it into
I just
existence.
go like that.
But I also think that like, and without being a tax, whatever, like I think you can look at like kind of like our debate on IP, right? It's like I hate IP because it's artificial. It does not follow the flow of reality. Like information wants to be free. Trying to force information which wants to be free into IP makes absolutely no sense. Similarly, I think with things like taxes, it's like I'm not anti-taxes, but you should think about where does it actually naturally flow. So for a state, right? Like, and there are things that the state in theory for a while has probably been the best thing to administer. If you own land, property tax probably makes sense. You can't run away from property tax. And like, if you are in a community, you should probably pay for some of the basic services like the roads, which I know everyone's always curious who's going to build those, and the water systems and all that. But like, I don't know. I think the more we get away from fancy loopholes, which end up just funneling money to the uber wealthy and like, and people that are uber wealthy, not because they actually did anything, but just because they know all the tricks. That's what's so frustrating. That's when I come back.
People who have like $1 million just experiment with stretch.
Yeah,
for example.
who are these people, Steve? I don't even know. But I come back to that. That's what I love. The simplicity of Martin Luther and his theses, the simplicity of Satoshi and his theses, is a world where, like you don't have to be on the inside to be able to thrive.
I'm not opposed to taxes. I'm only opposed to government.
You heard it here first. Guys, I know we're running short on time. I don't know what other topics you had, but I wanted to make sure we cover one thing on the
We have some very important things, and we only have 12 minutes.
Well, this is important on the Bitcoin Merchant Association, because we did not come back and follow up on what I was most excited about last week, which is the Advent calendar. So this idea of regardless in our own community, and I had an idea, maybe a way for Square to participate as well. So I think it's cool. We do sort of the cash bomb. Like every day we pick a restaurant or whatever. We all go and spend our Bitcoin there together as a community. We get other people in the Bay Area to come out and do the same. Maybe we also get them with the Nostr address so people can like just bomb them money for every day of December. But I was also going to say we could do this for different communities. Like it could be cool. Square could get involved as well as they're turning it on. They could do like a matching program or something. Like they could just, or whatever, like, hey, we're going to cash bond $10,000 a day for each of these merchants as well. And then, or we match like whatever the community comes up with. And then you can really, I mean, obviously that's not going to scale forever, but that's how you
need to bootstrap.
That's how,
right?
exactly. That's how you can kickstart.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Square did $1 million giveaway today.
I didn't even know that.
Well, I saw that in the chat, but I didn't read it. What happened?
It's the math. The first 20,000 merchants that turn on, I think it was the conversions feature, gets $50 deposited
That's
into
awesome.
their account.
Yeah.
Cool. Which is pretty cool.
So something like that, like to support
and then
the
Cash
Advent
App's
calendar.
done like Cash App Fridays for many years. So your proposal is definitely consistent with what Cash App has done before. So
Awesome.
I'll make sure the Square team watches this.
Miles, if you're listening.
Here's your idea. Spiral's doing a project too. I mentioned. I'll make sure that team hears about it. And then it also could be, a good idea for one of the startups. That are targeting merchants and spending.
And maybe we could have like multiple companies come in and putting. I just think if you can just like blow people out of the water at these first, the first month, that's going to set a strong precedent. So
can we talk about chain split stuff? Because like it's kind of, I'm aware that it exists. I have not followed it closely, and I feel like Steve has followed this closely.
Let me talk about this.
Max,
well, the drama continues, but I mean, I think actually the framing, the current event is the BIP 444 proposal, which is a proposal to change consensus rules and fork Bitcoin. And then it gets into the question of like, is it a soft fork or is it a hard fork or is it a contentious fork, which I think is what you were interested in. The reason why Max doesn't want to talk about this is because it's just part of the continued ocean drama, knots drama, core V30 drama. This proposal is like in BIP 444 is intended to eliminate the spam and the bad stuff and the things that people that care about Bitcoin as money don't want in the blockchain.
But I mean, all of us care about Bitcoin as money. The things that particular,
that's one thing that's lost on the the camp that is positioning themselves as Bitcoin as money and anti-spam think the other side doesn't care about Bitcoin as money, but that's just wrong.
That's just false.
I would say the vast majority of people in the core camp or the other camp is that it's not possible to get rid of this, or the solution to get rid of it is the fees that are already built into the white paper and the original Bitcoin system. That is the solution. The problem right now with JPEGs getting the blockchain is that people aren't spending their fucking Bitcoin. We need more economic activity. Everyone complaining should actually go out and go to their Steak and Shakes, their Square, merchants that use Square, and spend Bitcoin. Go get them to get the merchants to enable Bitcoin.
Yeah, and by the way, I would take those guys a lot more seriously if they start posting receipts of doing stuff like that.
That's what all of us can agree on. Bitcoin used as money, and all of us should become advocates and do that. That's the healthiest thing. And like, get off Twitter, stop yelling at each other, go in the real world and spend Bitcoin. All right.
Sorry,
I've learned that's a good. I'm saying good things. All right.
I'm not Gen Alpha.
But in any case, the BIP 444 is the intention is to prevent bad stuff getting in, but it's a band-aid. It has all kinds of holes. I mean, immediately after it was proposed, Peter Todd got a transaction mined that is BIP 444 compliant, and it contains the entire text of BIP 444. So it spams the chain with a BIP 444 compliant transaction.
Right. Yeah.
So we're not going to stop that. Except with fees. We need to use Bitcoin as money. So that's that proposal, but it raised the question of forks, which I think is what you specifically were interested in. And there's a longtime developer, Waxwing, had a post that gave his interpretation of these different forks.
I was just gonna say, I think there's Bitcoiners who are interested in this topic of like, what happens in the case of a fork? Do I need to make decisions? Probably like, being in self-custody means you can actually make decisions, and being with a third-party custodian means you have to follow along with whatever decisions they choose to present you at the time they choose to present you.
Yeah.
And that can have real economic impact.
Yep.
If you,
so
I feel like it's just like,
this isn't
very
really
personal for people. Right?
Agreed. And we don't have to get in the weeds either to answer this question. And I agree this question should be relevant to anyone who owns Bitcoin should understand what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
And some of us lived through this in 2017, 2018 era. I think the three of us did, and probably quite a few in our audience, but many people didn't. And that's when Bitcoin Cash did fork off from Bitcoin. And it did create two coins. And what that meant, if you held your own Bitcoin in self-custody, then prior to the fork, then you actually got two. If let's say you held 10 Bitcoin at the time, you then had 10 BTC and 10 BCH. At the time, that wasn't crazy.
10,000, you mean, right?
Yeah. So I didn't use like 1 million Bitcoin as my.
You just did, but okay.
21 million.
So,
not at the time.
but you'd have 10 Bitcoin of each, and you can do whatever you want with them. Now you had to be somewhat sophisticated. First of all, you're already self-custodying. You also have to run your own node, and for for Bitcoin Cash, you had to download Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin software. You couldn't use Bitcoin Core's Bitcoin software because it only dealt with BTC. So it required sophistication, but it really was empowering. First of all, you're self-sovereign. You were guaranteed that you got 10 of each. you could immediately transact with each. So if you were a believer in BTC and you thought BCH was a joke, you could immediately sell it on an exchange. You could transfer it to an exchange and sell it
and get more Bitcoin.
And buy BTC,
and
right?
buy more BTC, or vice versa. If you thought BCH was the right direction, or whether as an investment or the right technology direction, vision for Bitcoin, you could dump all your BTC and accumulate a lot of BCH. But it's very empowering to do that.
Or you could just hold both and just like
Or you can hold
sit it
both.
out,
So the
yeah.
safe thing to do is hold both. If you have conviction one way or the other, then you can like dump some or all and put it in the other coin. And as we describe in the Bitcoin Consensus Analysis Project, BCAP, which Lynn Alden and Crypto Ren and myself worked on last year, it's at the margin is what matters for determining which coin sort of wins in the market. And so it's those people who actually have the ability to sell, and of course the willingness to sell one fork and then double up on the other fork. That's extremely powerful position to be in. As if you're not willing to take that risk, or you don't have conviction, you just simply hold Bitcoin, you just want to hope to keep holding whatever Bitcoin becomes, you can just hold both. Now, a lot of people hold Bitcoin with a custodian. There, you don't have this power.
Right.
You are not in control. You can't split the coins. You don't have access to both. You can't immediately dump one of them at potentially like premium prices. And you're just beholden to that custodian's choices. And what we saw in 2017, 2018 is different custodians will make different choices. Some acted quickly to make the other coin available to you to withdraw. Others were slow. Others never made it available. Even like Coinbase.
Yeah, of course.
Because there was Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamond. There were like
ESV, wasn't that one?
Well, that came later,
Yeah,
but that came later off of a BCH fork.
That was
But at the time,
BCH.
forking off of BTC, there were like 20 different versions, and it was a long tail, right? So even Coinbase didn't make most of those available. So we all, like, if we had any Bitcoin on Coinbase at the time, we lost money. We never got access to that. We couldn't hold it, sell it.
And by the way, I actually think this is one of the more I hear you talking now, one of the greatest risks to Bitcoin, the more we're talking about this, whether or not you think this particular one is an orchestrated attack against Bitcoin, like it's going to come at some point. And I'm actually kind of concerned because in those days, there were a lot of whales that held in self-custody. From what I've, gather, it seems like a lot maybe have transferred to ETFs or something like that, because for a variety of reasons, they don't want to hold it themselves. They don't want that risk. But that becomes scary because as you have the ETFs and the custodians like Coinbase control more and more, maybe there were enough of the hardcore diehards that really believe in the values in 2017. Do we have enough in 2025? Maybe. What about in 2030? Like that's a very concerning trend.
I agree the trend's concerning, but again, the analysis done in the BCAP project, I think is heartening because even if the number of OG whales that self-custody is reducing over time, it's nowhere even remotely close to zero right now.
Yeah, that's true.
And those whales that self-custody have outsized power in such a situation when there's a fork, because they can act quickly, and the BlackRocks and Coinbases of the world are highly unlikely.
Yeah.
They have teams of lawyers. Like think about BlackRock. First of all, they don't even hold the Bitcoin. So
Right.
they aren't
It's
in
Coinbase.
control. It's Coinbase.
Right.
Secondly, they don't own the Bitcoin. Their customers do. They're highly regulated. They have a gazillion lawyers. They're not going to, on day one of a fork, dump fork B and double down on fork A. That would be suicide. What if they're wrong? The whole company,
They just lost customer
they would
funds,
literally
yeah.
just disappear off the map. They're not going to do that. They're going to move slowly. They're going to hold both. They're going to let things play out. Right?
But you could imagine, right? Like these guys are effective. I'm sure like just imagine there was a big state attack. I'm not saying they would do it overnight, but fine, they can't move for a year. So be it. If there aren't enough of the hardcore values, self-custody whales left, it wouldn't happen on day one, but that could.
We need the self-custody whales to still self-custody, still be whales, and still care. Agreed. Another concern though is if there's a extreme state attack, then first of all, the state can tell BlackRock you have to choose fork B, not
Exactly.
fork A.
That's what I'm saying.
They can also, all the exchanges, they can be like, you can't, we don't allow you to have a free market.
Right.
And that's where tying this back into merchant adoption and using Bitcoin as everyday money,
So
that
important.
becomes super important
Yeah.
long-term, even if all you care about is number go up an investor, because that allows for price discovery millions of times per day throughout the world in very decentralized ways. You just go to Pink Owl Coffee, you're discovering price. And in that exchange, you're determining what is Bitcoin.
Yes.
Am I using fork A or fork B?
Yep.
So two people. Yeah. All right. I'm
Yeah.
winning today. And so, of course, that single exchange between me and Pink Owl isn't going to determine the future of Bitcoin, but the
collective of it,
millions
yeah.
and millions of
Emergent
instances of
intelligence,
that
that's the whole point. Yeah.
do matter.
Yep. The hive
So
mind.
that
Exactly.
so I think again,
Just pump it.
anyone worried
Pump
about
it, baby.
spam, anyone worried about BlackRock attacks or state attacks,
Yeah.
we got to start spending money. Do your part. Get out there, convince merchants, spend Bitcoin for a long-term healthy
I like
outcome.
that.
And further, if you should be self-custodying, and if you do self-custody, if you choose to hold both splits in a fork, both chains in a fork, it is a vote for both. It is a vote of I don't know, or a vote that either one is fine.
Yeah.
And I think you sort of made the comment like, oh, we'll wait and see. If you don't have conviction, then you kind of have to take that position. I understand. But if you can learn and build conviction about which one you think is the real Bitcoin, the one that matters, you actually can generate yield.
Yes.
So you have more Bitcoin. It's rare in the world that you can, in a fair way, generate yield on your Bitcoin ownership. And this is one of the few.
Very good point. And it is a sense of a vote. I often hear people talking about voting and Bitcoin. They'll either they misapply it though. They don't know it though. So hopefully they listen and learn here. But one is miners, that miners have a vote somehow. Like during the activation of a new consensus change, there's this signaling process that's been done historically through the Bitcoin Core software. And it's when miners signal, yep, we're ready for this change. Because to reduce safety risks in activating a new consensus rule that has consensus, you want miners to support it. Because if you split, then you can get unintended forks and a total disaster, right? So there's this signaling process. And so some people interpret that as miners get to vote whether we get that change. And it's not a vote, because it's more like if they do signal, first of all, the signal is just a trust me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it is. Like they're signaling through the blocks they mine, but they could be lying.
Yeah.
All they're saying is like, we've upgraded the software to support this activation of this change, but they could be lying. So it's total trust me, bro. But even if they're lying, I mean, it like you, by assuming they're telling the truth and then them doing it and then reaching a certain threshold, like 95%, it's, even though you're not assured that's true, it's still safer than not doing that process at all. But that's all it is. It's not a vote, because like, let's say that they don't reach a certain signal. You can have economic nodes begin to adopt the fork and also and basically campaign and say, we're going to reject the blocks you're creating that don't support this change you want. So it's a very complex power struggle, but it's not a vote by miners. The other vote that's very common.
That's not a vote.
That's not a vote. Thank you.
But often confuses
Perceived
voters.
vote is this year with people, thinking that is spinning up running Bitcoin software is a vote.
Like running a node is not a vote.
Running a node is not a vote. And depending on what you're doing with that node, it ranges from like inconsequential to very important. And so like part of the knots drama, people that are supporters of the not side of this drama love to tout the percentage of market share that is running knots. Now, I'll definitely acknowledge, as like a social media campaign and like an activist campaign, it's like a compelling story to tell. And but it's meaningless across a number of dimensions. One is that while it sounds good, we actually don't know how many people are actually running knots, because literally one individual could spin up tens of thousands of Bitcoin nodes in AWS and affect that metric. I'm not saying that's what's happening. It could very well be each individual is doing that,
Mhm.
but I'm just saying we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
So it's, and then secondly, even if there's like 500,000 individuals who run knots, and there's only like 70,000 people continue to run core or whatever, if all they're doing is just spinning up and running and not receiving Bitcoin, then they're literally meaningless.
Yep.
Because like, I think if someone was from the Knots camp here, they'd argue, oh, but we're relaying transactions, we can set relay policy and stuff. But with a sufficient sized Bitcoin core network, transactions will be relayed. It doesn't matter if there's 50,000, 500,000, 50 million Knots nodes. I'll still find paths through the network to get to miners with a transaction that I want to mine.
I also just want to throw out, because I mean, you said people should be self-custody. So I just want to say, I'm not sure I always agree with that. Like we did that whole episode about like diversifying. I think self-custody is, can be a good option if you know what you're doing. I think it can be a horrible option if you don't. And even if you do, for security reasons and other, I think it does make sense. And that's why I think a lot of whales have moved into things like ETFs or custody. And I get it. Like it totally makes sense to have someone else take a lot of that burden for you. But if you are going to do that, I think, we've said this many times and I just will keep beating this horse forever. Like, know who you're working with, know your business, know who's running it and what their values are, right? Like at the end of the day, people like Brian Armstrong and Coinbase have shown their colors over and over again. I know where they're going to go if there is a fork or, I mean, yes, they're probably gonna give customers the right to do what they want, but like, don't trust people, right? Like I will say this over and over again. Look at a company like a River or an Alex Leishman, Block, people like Jack Dorsey and Alex, who may give you that option to make that choice. I'm not saying they will for sure, but I'm just saying all custody is not the same. All exchanges are not created equal. Do your own research. Where you do your business, where you bring your business, what those people's values are matters.
Did we cover what you wanted to cover on forks?
Yeah.
I think that's a good. You went a different direction than I was anticipating, but I think it's the right direction for a broader audience. So thanks for doing that.
Sure.
A few more things I wanted to talk about. Where's it?
Matthew's asking. For
I got to answer this
Matt.
question.
Okay,
All right. So Matthew asked a very important question. He says, before you end, Max, what is that mask? What is it made from? And how much DMT was used in the process? I'll answer all three. So this mask right here, for those of you who can't see it, let me bring my friend up here. This is the one of the Demon Doggy Diners. You'll notice I'm wearing the original Demon Doggy Diner because there's been many versions of this on my shirt. So for those of you who don't
Is this
know,
an NFT?
this is definitely not a fucking NFT.
He's about to drop it. And
Although I don't know, I'm not anti-ordinals necessarily. Maybe we should make one, maybe. But so shout out to my dad because he makes all of these. So my dad used to be known back in Memphis, where I'm from originally, as we always say, do it for them, as the king of Halloween. My mom and dad were the king and queen of Halloween. So my dad is an artist and makes these incredible he used to make 6 foot tall giant monsters.
Wow.
And maybe one day we'll be able to show them off in the Bay Area. That'd be cool. But as of right now, he doesn't really have the yard to be able to do that. So instead he makes these masks and we probably got a dozen of them. And we go around, he more than me, when I have time. One of the reasons I'm not reading the group chat is my other priority is spending a lot of time walking around town with these masks with my dad. And we go around and,
not Type 1 Summit at all.
No, well, that too. There's a lot going on in life, right?
You're a busy man.
I'm never going to be doing another summit. I did this last year too with my LP day right around Halloween. Like Halloween is too sacred of a holiday to be doing all this other stuff. But whatever, lesson learned. We all learn. And so we went to like one of our Halloween, like there's like the kids out on the beach, last week, and we went and showed them off. Although it was raining and windy, so it was a rough day. But the kids love it. I mean, adults too. It's really fun as you walk around town with these. You just like see people like shocked. Most people are like kind of absorbed in their like phone reality or like worried about some bullshit in life. And then all of a sudden you like snap them back into reality when they just see you in one of these. It's great fun. I recommend everyone do more things that snap yourself and others back into reality. And particularly with the kids, a lot of them love it, but it's not Halloween unless you get at least one kid that starts screaming, crying, running to their mom. We got that last week. They were absolutely terrified. The mom had to run down the street to catch this like 3-year-old. They were terrified. And that's successful Halloween.
And how much DMT was used?
Well, we're one by one, man.
Okay,
We're working our way through. Second question is, what is it made from? So this is where my dad, shout out to my dad out here. He's a genius in what he can do because he does a lot with a little, which by the way, I saw someone put that on there. And it was like a LinkedIn or something. It's like what their skills were, living well on a little. And I was like, that's a skill we should all aim for. This is made of paper towels. It's paper mache. It's just like, this is like hood stuff from around the house, paper towels and paint, nothing fancy. The
Very
best,
cool.
yeah, the
Very
best
cool.
art, the best ideas. To your point, the Bitcoin white paper, everything starts from the edge. Like if you get too close to the center and too close to the money spigot, things get nasty. But when you're on the edge, stuff looks good. So just paper towels and paint. And then the last question, how much DMT? I'll have to ask my dad. I'm guessing
Non-zero.
no comment. But it's funny you mentioned that because I was talking to some folks about some of their experiences this week. So it's it's possible. You never know.
Very cool.
All right.
But well, I want to rattle off a few things before we
Okay.
wrap it.
Hit me.
if that's
What you
cool.
got? Yeah.
Well, one, we talked about prediction markets a little bit. I mean,
Mhm.
Polymarket is one that most people have probably heard of, maybe used a little bit. They just recently announced accepting Bitcoin.
It's great.
But what led me to learn about that was that there's a Bitcoin focused one called, I think it's pronounced Predyx.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Predyx. I think Connor shared it with me, and then I decided to just
I've
play-
seen it on Stacker
play-
News.
They
from time
post
to
on
time.
Stacker
decided
News
to-
all the time.
yeah, I decided to play with it.
You gotta be on Stacker News more, Steve.
I missed it. I don't know. But anyway, played with the super slick onboarding and user experience. I just wanted to describe what that is and then maybe compare it a little bit to Polymarket and how can Predyx keep an edge.
Mhm.
So the user experience is great because first of all, to register, I could just use my Bitcoin private key. It used LNURL auth.
That's cool.
So I just it presented just like Stacker News, right? It presented a QR code. I scanned it with Phoenix Wallet. That was me registering.
Nice.
So super slick.
No email address, no KYC.
So no KYC. So there's the remain anonymous part, but also just the onboarding UX. It's so fast and
Easy.
simple. Because at first I didn't see that option. So I'm like, I got to fill out this form and who knows what else. And it's less me being like, I mean, part of me is like, certainly if a passport, I don't want to do that, but just the time.
Yeah.
And I just put it
Kind of a
away and move on to
hassle,
something
yeah,
else. So
yeah.
it was so simple. And then I was able to quickly and easily deposit money into the system through Lightning, right? And then, and it was instant. So literally within seconds, I was able to register, get money into the system, and participate in a prediction. So I did like the World Series. I put, a little bit of money on Toronto.
Is it baseball happening? I don't even know anybody watch baseball. Are you geriatric now?
It's
Steve? What is
the
this?
World Series, man.
All right.
Yeah.
That's happening now.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like DK for once.
I
What's
know.
this?
Yeah. I'll sit in the corner here and talk baseball.
That's bowling, right? Oh, baseball. Right? Okay.
No, there's amazing stories. I mean, Ohtani for the Dodgers is like the most incredible player ever with pitching and batting.
I'm more interested in cricket.
All right. And then, since we're late, I'll skip the baseball story, but we'll pick up baseball next week. Anyhow, and then the way their UI works or their system works, you buy I forget what they call them. I'm almost scared to say the word token because it's not a token. The bad word.
You get cowboy credit
units. You get
style.
units or
Yeah.
like shares. I think it was maybe called shares. But I bought 100 shares in the prediction of the outcome of the World Series, which cost something like a fraction of a sat for a share. So 100 was like 3 sats. So
I see.
My bet here, in case this is illegal, I don't know, but it's 3 sats. So we're talking like sub penny bet. But just the user experience to do this was super fast, super simple.
Cool.
I thought it was awesome.
We should get them up here
with
for sure.
Polymarket. My understanding, I mean, I've gone to it just to see current estimates, but I've never participated. So my understanding with registering is you do need to KYC. So if that barrier remains, then to me, Predyx is far more compelling than Polymarket. And we'll just see, usually with a Bitcoin focused product, that you can just do more, go farther with the focus than one that supports a zillion different coins. So hopefully Predyx does well. And then I don't know any of the regulatory side of things. So can it continue being no KYC? I have no idea.
Depends on
And I think the regulatory, I think Kalshi is the big competitor to Polymarket. I think Kalshi is fully regulated, and that enables them to be plugged in. I think they got plugged into Robinhood.
Wow.
I'm not a Robinhood or a Kalshi customer, but my understanding is if you are a Robinhood customer, you can participate in the Kalshi prediction markets without additional KYC or sign up or anything. So I appreciate all the points you're making around the simplicity of UX and Bitcoin-centric experience, but I think also figuring out how to get liquidity and distribution is an important challenge that Predyx should still be thinking about and figuring out how to solve. And sometimes the regulated prediction markets, I think, have advantages because they can be plugged into places where people already have, value on store.
2 quick thoughts on that. I would love to go deeper. I mean, and you put this on my radar. I don't know if the Predyx guys want to start a company or kind of want to do it at the edges, but it's interesting because no KYC doesn't just have the obvious benefits. And by the way, this feels it feels very Bitcoin. Like, feels like one of those things where, like, regardless of whether they can go the traditional route or not, it feels like the kind of thing that could get real traction regardless. And like, that's where Bitcoin has always thrived, is on the edges. But the thing I am most excited about, and the Predyx founders, if you're listening to this and you are thinking this way, definitely let me know, is when you have no KYC for prediction markets, that allows bots to use it. And so what I'm interested in is you can start literally having bots creating their own prediction markets and working and betting with other bots. That to me is something that could just go like 1000x. And it's early for that, but I'm most interested that if you don't have KYC or identity, then you can literally have new life forms using it, which is cool.
Yep. Super cool.
What do you think about Brian Armstrong's earnings report? Was that good or bad for prediction markets? Because in case you didn't
follow that dude.
Oh, well, there's a prediction market about which words he would say during earnings. And so at the end of earnings,
crypto
at the end of, Web3 was one. Web3 was one. But at the end of the earnings report, he pulled up Polymarket and just read off every word. So
did he really?
Yeah. That's so it was like it made everyone a winner that bet that he would say it. Now,
did he say Bitcoin? Just curious.
I mean, I think that was one of the words, right? But so I think that's kind of funny. It's an interesting moment to do it, but at the same time, like, insider knowledge here could have completely. I mean, I don't know how much money was actually, but imagine a lot of money and volume here. Like, insider knowledge to him doing that would like completely rig these markets.
I mean, that's what Coinbase is doing from day zero. So
anyway,
not surprised.
But I think
for me, it almost it makes me question these markets more. I
think it's good to illustrate just how these things work. I think it's illustrative of the broader point of how prediction markets work and how they can be influenced and how you can bring information, or the market itself could cause a different outcome. Yeah. All of that is stuff that people should be aware of, instead of thinking of a prediction market as this like remote, isolated thing that just like observes the world.
I think it was educational.
It plays with the world, right?
And people should understand that, though. There's different, no one's going to do an earnings report that affects the Toronto Blue Jays winning the World Series. But so you need to know what you're putting money on. but I think some can be rigged and some can't.
Like, I think my understanding, and I'm not an expert at prediction markets, but
I was about to say, we just literally talked about Chauncey Billups going to jail for this. So. Yeah.
But I think one of the functions of the platforms themselves, like the Polymarkets, the Kalshis, is that they decide what markets get made. Does that sound right to you? I think that's like, you can't just come and make up your own and just launch it. I think
really.
I think you have to.
I think you can on Predyx at least.
That's what I was going to point out. Is I think because Predyx is a very different thing. I think instead of going after the same markets that Polymarket and Kalshi go after, instead, which are more like they're curating which markets get made. This is almost more like a tool that you could use with your friends to do like a sports betting thing, or you could take it. Maybe most of the markets end up being kind of more private in nature and they're not discoverable, but it's more like a tool that lets you construct these kinds of markets for yourself, which that to me seems like a very differentiated value prop. Like, I agree, with Steve's point that it's like a nice UX, but ultimately like a nice UX can't beat volume and distribution. But if it has like a different feature in the world that it can actually be used in a very different way, in a private way, and it's not meant to be a discovery hub, but meant to be a tool, that seems promising to me.
I love that, and I love anything that enables the long tail. So you guys are making me more bullish on Predyx. I definitely need to go do a little bit more research.
Well, I learned the founder is in Southern California too, so
thanks for
invited him
Steve.
to the city of Bitcoin.
Oh, great!
And, he should come chill. I'm interested in learning more if you're listening.
Maybe he's listening to the show, and another invitation to come visit us up here. We'd love to chat with you.
But I just want to say really 2 quick things on that. Number one, what you're saying though, it's no different than traditional markets. Traditional markets are also probably rigged, right? Like, I don't know, like if you look at like insider trading as a thing, like people know, like whenever you see someone.
It's very different for 2 reasons. One, I mean, there's the SEC and its regulated market. I'm not saying, well, it is. I mean, like I'm not saying it's perfect, but people do get put in prison. There are investigations.
From time to time.
From time to time, exactly.
Well, no, but it is a difference. Like it exists. There's investigations. There's enforcement. I didn't say it's perfect. I didn't say it
Yeah, I get your point.
gets everything. And like, I don't, it's indisputable.
Yeah.
And then secondly is that the prediction markets is like way more wide open than the stock market. I mean, the stock market, there's only a finite amount that are, have gone through this SEC process to be registered. And it's just easier to like watch that. I mean,
Totally.
even you guys are saying that's hard to watch, right? But I agree, but like, it's impossible to regulate.
So where I think this is going to be
an open prediction market where anything can be predicted.
Anything can be predicted. And I think there's going to be good and bad from that. And I think what's cool is I've always wondered why aren't prediction markets taking off? And like maybe now is finally the moment.
They are. I mean,
Well, they are now, right? But I mean, I've been wondering this for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know what the kick was. Maybe it was just like more liquidity on these markets or easier user experiences, whatever. Maybe it was sports betting going mainstream. But I think what's really cool is we're going to have in real time the ability to solve some of these problems. Like it's like I think one of the great challenge for Bitcoiners is, no one wants things like insider trading. We just think that centralized institutions are like often just too corrupt, too opaque to be able to do that well. It'd be awesome if institutions were honest. Like that would be really cool. But I think what's going to be really interesting is like, how do you try and get some of that in a bottoms up way? And so there's going to be a whole huge experimentation around oracles, reputation with oracles, markets on which oracles are honest, things like that. And I just think that's gonna be super fun to watch. And I just want to say this one more time because I think it's very important, whether it's the Predyx guys or someone else, finding authenticity and truth in a world with AI is going to be so important. So figuring out how to like run markets to find truth or closer to truth in a world that like where there's a lot of fake stuff or spam on the internet is interesting. And then really making this like an agent first experience. That's what I would be watching for a company that could just blow it out of the water.
So there's 3 more topics I was hoping to talk about.
I gotta
you
pee,
guys,
dude.
but we can't. But this group can't do rapid fire.
No, we're not going to.
No,
I'm going to mention them though. Maybe we tee it up for next week.
Just
But one
mention
is
them,
Substrate was announced, which is a competitor to ASML. ASML is a critical company in process for semiconductor, and they're a monopoly. No one else competes with them. I understand it's a huge barrier to entry, but like I've always found it puzzling that no one tries.
Yeah.
So I can't speak anything to Substrate, their technology, the odds of success or whatever.
It's a good name.
The team behind it, but let's hope they create competition there.
Yeah.
That's one thing. 2, the Coreweave deal to buy Core Scientific fell apart. So, I mean, we can get into a huge mining topic, but just FYI that we've talked about that before in the show. And we talked about AI and mining, and so interesting that I think they're being acquired for $9 billion. The highest
couch change is what I've heard.
The peak market cap for Core Scientific is its current price, I didn't look today, but yesterday when I saw this news, it was like 6.8 billion. So the premium over their all-time high is like almost 50%. Shareholders rejected that. So it really speaks to what shareholders are very bullish on the future of Core Scientific.
Yep.
And then the last thing is SimpleX. Did you guys ever try SimpleX?
You mean
messaging app?
SimpleX?
Oh, sorry, SimpleX. Oh.
Herpes simplex.
Oh,
yeah, the worst name of all time.
I don't even know how to pronounce it, but well, now maybe I used to call it Simplex. Now I'll call it Simplex.
Well, I'm kind of trolling on them.
Yeah.
Because so you guys used it, but I mean, for the people not familiar with this,
well,
I mean, but it came. I think it was introduced 2 years ago or something.
Yeah,
but it's like it was a new messaging app that was like more decentralized than and more private maybe than Signal. It had a horrible user experience out of the box, but maybe it was promising. But yesterday they announced NFTs and a token and a whole new block. I think they're actually, I don't know if they're building their own blockchain or they're building on Ethereum, but either way, it was an interesting move.
It was sad.
Unexpected move.
Unexpected. Because also I think Jack led their seed round or something, which is like, I mean, I guess I know he never like tells people what to do, but like, it's just disappointing. Like why does everyone...
I didn't even know they'd raised money.
Yeah. Jack was the lead investor. In fact, they raised a little bit of money, I think, from Village Global early on, which I thought was a good bet from them. And then they raised more from Jack. And so I was hopeful. I was like, okay, this one I should be watching. This is great. I never would have dreamed it. It's like, man, like why do all the good things just have to shitcoin? So there's still a huge opportunity. Maybe it'll be white noise or something coming out of Nostr, but yeah, it's just sad. And if the Simplex guys are listening, it's not too late. You can come back and do a real business model.
I didn't look at all the details. They did respond to a lot of I'm sure they anticipated a lot of negative criticism on social media, which they did get. And they did respond to a lot. I didn't go verify any of this, but I think they were responding like there's no pre-mine.
Mhm.
They like Bitcoin doesn't solve their needs because they need smarter smart contracts. So
Skeptical.
there might be more to read here before immediately dismissing them. I remember BISC, BISQ.
Oh yeah, I love
Peer-to-peer
this.
exchange, they introduced a token.
Yeah, but wasn't that was more like a share of like Bitcoin revenues? No.
It was like sort of the lubricant to make their peer-to-peer trading work, but they went to great.
Okay, we'll have to say that one for next week. I'm not sure I follow, but
well, because they want to be a decentralized exchange. So how do you do a decentralized exchange?
well, now I think you do it on Nostr, but
Well, okay,
We
no
can
one's
talk
built,
about
no one's
that.
built that though.
Yeah.
And Nostr didn't exist when they did
That's
it.
true, that's
no one's
true.
built that. So they wanted to stay Bitcoin only so that you couldn't build Uniswap. So how are they supposed to do it? So they came up with a token. I'm just saying that was an example of where I think the people behind BISC are tried and true Bitcoiners.
totally no.
But
I
they
agree.
introduced a token, right? And so maybe that's the case here with SimpleX. I don't know. I'm just saying
Skeptical.
there might be more to it.
We should look into it.
All
But
right.
there is an opportunity, and maybe something like the white noise protocol or whatever coming out of Nostr, like maybe there's something there.
And speaking of, did you guys share? I thought I saw something with the hurricanes in Haiti and
Oh, yeah.
Jamaica that Bitchat is kind of blowing up to
Well,
take over.
First of all, before we get too giddy, like having left with a Cat 5 storm in New Orleans back in Katrina 2005, like lost all the people in Jamaica. I know that's just got to be freaking horrible and terrifying and like just getting welted by a storm. But the interesting part for Bitcoiners is that I think I saw Callie sharing that Bitchat is now number 2 downloaded app. Maybe it's number 1 by now. So interesting case study.
Which like even though it's Bluetooth mesh or origin, it's I think kind of adjacent to what SimpleX was trying to do. It's white noise based. It's kind of Nostr based. So it touches on thematically things related to SimpleX, but almost certainly is never going to introduce.
We should talk more about that one next week.
These incentives.
I would love to learn and see how it functioned for the people there. One question I didn't understand is even if all of their internet is down, so it's like Bluetooth peer-to-peer. I guess they don't need
Just for
necessarily-
coordinating among themselves,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
It might not be to access the internet.
I think I
don't
saw
know.
Dread was doing a fundraiser. I didn't go look into it deeply. I should check out more on Nostr, but it'd be cool to hear from Dread or other people how that did it work? What worked, what didn't? And maybe we can cover that next week.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for
All right.
going through those with me.
Just 2 more hours and
Happy Halloween.
Happy
happy
White
Halloween,
paper.
happy white paper day.
Happy white paper day.
Okay,
All right.
see ya.
Bye-bye.